Ladies and gentlemen, the return of the KANGZ are back. After in just 3 years, compiling a record of 107 and 88, winning Coach of the Year in 2023, Mike Brown has been let go as the head coach of your Sacramento Kings. Have the Kings underachieved and underperformed this season? Yes. But Mike Brown is not the reason why. Has Mike Brown been good this season? Absolutely not. I don't believe Mike Brown or his staff have been good at all this season. You can go from his lineups, his odd, weird rotations this season. The Kings are 13 and 18, five games under 500. They are an abysmal 6 and 12 at home. They have lost 5 straight games, all 5 at home. You had an ass kicking against Indiana. You lose a heartbreaker last night against the Pistons. You lose somewhat back-to-back games against the Lakers. You blow a lead, a 10-point lead at home against the Nuggets. Mike Brown was not the problem for the Sacramento Kings. The problem of the Sacramento Kings is a roster issue. When you have a future Hall of Famer in DeMar DeRozan, you have 2 All-NBA players in De'Aaron Fox and Domantas Sabonis. You have a guy who was in the running, in my opinion, got snubbed of Sixth Man of the Year last season in Malik Monk. This is the most talented roster the Kings have had since the early 2000s. And yes, the bench is bullshit. It's a lack of a bench. But this is the most talented team that the Kings have had since the early 2000s. And here they are, 13 and 18 overall, 6 and 12 at home. Mike Brown's not the reason why the Kings are where they are at. It is once again, this franchise can't get out of their own way. And I have a problem with the way the Kings have handled this whole Mike Brown parting the ways. Why was Mike Brown, if you were going to fire Mike Brown, why would you do it after he led a practice this morning? He was on his way to the airport to board the plane with the team to go to LA for the game tomorrow night. Why? It does not make sense. It doesn't. Absolutely, it does not make sense. So, I don't know what is going to happen, but this is going to be the Kings' ninth head coach in the tenure of Vivek Ranadive since he's become the owner. Doug Christie is the interim head coach of the Kings for the rest of this season. And this is after Mike Brown last night after the game called out the star player, De'Aaron Fox. And there's been a lot of rumblings about the future of De'Aaron Fox. I believe it is time to move on from De'Aaron Fox. I I truly believe it is time to move on from De'Aaron Fox. You know, there's a lot of talk about how good De'Aaron Fox is in the fourth quarter and the clutch. Why do you wait until the fourth quarter to show up when you take the first three quarters off? For example, last night in the game against Detroit, De'Aaron Fox had 1 point in the first half, and the Kings had that 15-point lead. Why do you wait until the fourth quarter to show up? Do you see any of these other stars who take the first three fucking quarters off? No. If De'Aaron Fox wants to be that star player, you're not taking the first three quarters off and then showing up in the fourth. And then if you trade De'Aaron Fox, then you're blowing this whole thing up. I believe, in my honest opinion, I think a team out there that I would trade Fox to is Houston. I think if you look at, because you would want a potential star in return in a package. And I believe Houston has that in maybe Jalen Green, Jabari Smith Jr., Tari Eason, or you could do a package surrounding maybe Reed Shepard, who I believe is going to be a star. You Cam Whitmore there in Houston, but I think Houston would be in my opinion, the preferred trading partner for the Kings if they do end up trading De'Aaron Fox. But I think it's time. I think it's absolute time to trade De'Aaron Fox. So you can kiss this season goodbye. You can absolutely do that. And you can look forward to the 2025-26 season next year. Because this season is over. It's just the Kings being the Kings once again. The brunt of the jokes across the NBA. Because you cannot get out of your own way. And I kind of had a feeling that this Mike Brown news was coming. Because if you just listen to Mike Brown, if it was after practice, in his post-game press conferences, he's repeating the same messages over and over. How trying to get the guys to do this, do that, do this, do that. And we, as fans, are not seeing these players execute the game plan on that court. At what point do we stop blaming the coaches and start pointing the fingers at the players? Because they are the most responsible. And the people who aren't going to get off free from this Monty McNair and Wes Wilcox. I am done with those two guys as the leading this front office. They have to go. Why is Mike Brown gone? But these two guys, Monty and Wes, they keep their jobs? What the fuck have they done? They haven't done anything. They haven't done anything this past off season. Last year. And we're not going to talk about some of the draft picks that they have whiffed on since they've been here running the front office. So, Kings being the Kings. Mike Brown gone. What is it going to look like tomorrow night in Los Angeles against a Lakers team that's kicked your ass 3 times already? Looks like Anthony Davis is going to play. But name me the last time where you made a mid-season coaching change and it worked out, because it doesn't work out. And you can't say that Ty Lue taking over the Cavs and winning the championship, that doesn't count, because he had LeBron James when he took over mid-season. Joe Mazzulla taking over for the Boston Celtics. That does not count. There's a reason why it doesn't work out. These mid-season coaching changes. Your season is over. And every player in that locker room, you got to take a hard look in the mirror at yourselves. We got to stop blaming the coaches. And the players have got to take more accountability. We absolutely have to do that. Because they're just to blame more than the coaches. So, Mike Brown fired by the Sacramento Kings. And this was the worst thing to do. Because your season, if it wasn't over before, it is now. So, Kings fired Mike Brown. Doug Christie is now the interim head coach for this team. And the Kings look to somehow snap their losing streak Saturday night in Los Angeles against the Lakers. Not going to be easy. But, and how long is De'Aaron Fox a member of the Sacramento Kings? Trade deadline's in February? So, we'll see how long Fox is still on this team. If you were going to trade Fox to Houston, you can't trade for Jalen Green until this summer because he just signed an extension. So that's who I would want in return for a Fox deal if you were dealing him to Houston. You got San Antonio who could be an option, but what do you would want a player back in return who is star potential, and they're not dealing Wemby. You could do Stephon Castle, but they don't have a lot of really good players on that San Antonio team, unlike Houston does. So The return of the KANGZ is officially here. And it's what, 3 steps forward, 2 steps back. Just when we thought things have changed here in Sacramento, they get wiped out from underneath us, and we return to the dysfunction that we know and love here in Sacramento. Thanks for watching this special episode of the KANGZ related podcast. If you're watching on YouTube, hit that subscribe button, hit that thumbs up, leave a comment down below. Follow us on Twitch as well. And we'll catch you tomorrow night for a recap following Kings and Lakers.